We're back, folks. Sadly, you missed out on most of the ride, but I didn't. I am soaking wet. Camera got soaked and it stopped the video, and then it didn't want me to restart, and I had to shut down, restart the phone. As you can see, the lighting in the ride is pretty bad in places, but more animatronics are working than we expected. Wait till you see me at the end of this video. I've never been wetter. The log is so flooded that every time we stop like that, a wall of water comes up to my ankles. He's working, but you can't hear his audio. In a second, we can talk about what's coming to this ride. As some of you may have heard me on KPCC radio this morning, 98.3 Los Angeles. Yeah, look at how flooded this log is, everybody. Completely a river. So I'm ruined. That log is so flooded. You'll see me here in a second. Not happy about that. They should not be running a log that's flooded like that. Now I and everybody that's riding that log has to go through the rest of the day with completely... Trina, we love you. Thank you for always supporting us. You get free photos right now, folks, because of Disney 100. So you just need to enter your code. If you're a Magic Key holder, you get free photos. Yeah, I'm sure we are. A picture of me cursing on that video because I was so soaked and the video stopped. Cassandra, all our friends here on the video today. Yep, last zippity doodah, maybe the last one for me ever after how wet I just got. I'll have Nathan show you.
I'm so cold and so wet.
So first, we'll show you Nathan. All right, Nathan. So Nathan is soaked. Yes.
And I just washed my hair today.
Well, now you just washed it again.
I have to wash it again.
All right, you hold on to the phone. Show everybody what I look like. Am I beautiful? My beautiful corduroy jacket completely soaked. My pants soaked. My shoes probably have enough water for me to pour out of them.
That's quite the adventure.
If they fix anything when they turn that over to Tiana's Restaurant Adventures, we hope that's one thing they can fix. We're going to put the stabilizer on. Nathan just handed it to me, which I cannot open, but he's going to get the stabilizer out. So for the rest of this video, you can actually see without the camera jumping around. Unfortunately, because the video is already started, we can't plug in our microphones, so you won't hear us as well today. So I will try to talk louder.
And if you enjoyed the video and appreciate the sacrifice that we go through, please share.
Nathan says, if you enjoy the video and the sacrifice we just went through, please share. Yes, like, share, comment. We love seeing your comments. We definitely appreciate it when you share. There you go. Aha! I think we are just about ready to clip this thingy on. There we go. It's clipped on. Might lose them for a second. You're gonna lose me for a second. There we go. Will it do it? It wants to turn it sideways. There we go. One more time. And back again. There we go. All right. We now have the stabilizer on. Couple of things to show you here, and then we'll get a better spot and talk about Tiana. I'm not going to go into Pooh Corner. There's nothing to see here, folks. All of the Splash Mountain merchandise is gone, except for one little thing, and Nathan will explain it to anybody that has a question, but we've talked to many cast members. All the Splash merch is long gone, but there's this one little thing. If you come around the corner on the outside, it's so cold. My pants are so cold. They have a penny press machine right over here. And sorry if you all don't mind, I'm just going to show them what this looks like really quick. That is Splash Mountain in there, folks. And if you crush a penny, it will go sliding down the waterfall just like we just did, and may never recover from. Thank you guys, appreciate it. So that is your last chance to get a Splash Mountain item. They have Splash Mountain pressed pennies that go sliding down that Splash Mountain model on the inside of that penny press machine. I think that's pretty cool. It's the last little bit of Splash Mountain merchandise that you might be able to get in the parks. So Mike's taking a picture of it. And Mike is also quite wet. You see one partially dry leg. It's his dry side, and that's his wet side. And some say, Mike, that the wet side is the preferable side. I don't know. This is the Pooh meet and greet earlier when we were here taking photos. It was just filled with people. We're really questioning, how does this area get sort of rethemed so it makes sense? Because everything on this side of the land is Winnie the Pooh, and then there's a Winnie the Pooh ride, and then there's Tiana's Bayou Adventure on this side over here. Strictly speaking, thank you. We really appreciate it. So how is this going to get redone? Well, clearly the things on this side that we're looking at now have to be redone because it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But will they address some of these other things? We don't think so. We do think that they're going to have some Tiana merchandise in a shop that I'm going to show you up ahead. They'll likely keep Winnie the Pooh merchandise in the shop we just showed you at Pooh Corner. This is likely going to stay Winnie the Pooh for some time, although we definitely think could make a cute dark ride that had a slightly different critter theme. But Winnie the Pooh is big merchandise for Disney. So they would have to have a Winnie the Pooh something elsewhere in the parks, and we doubt they would spend the money for that. So chances are staying just like it is, but with a Bayou on this side. It doesn't have to change very much on the outside. Layout on the inside is staying exactly the same. I've been able to confirm that. Some of the animatronics will be repurposed and look like new characters, but they're building a lot of brand new animatronics as well, particularly the human animatronics, the Louis the Alligator animatronics. All of those are brand new. And they're going to be pretty high quality animatronics with a lot of motion, be pretty impressive. They've done a terrible job of describing the new attraction. They keep talking about recipes and missing ingredients and co-ops, and while that is the theme of Tiana's establishment, once we go into the bayou in search of that ingredient, something goes terribly awry, and of course it's a thrill ride just like it's always been. This is the briar patch with the planted roof. And of course, this will change. It's got Brer Rabbit right there on the top of the sign. But it is one of the cutest shops ever. I just know they're going to probably remove the cute carrots coming through the ceiling and so forth in here, but it's such a cute shop. But all of this Brer Rabbit stuff will have to go. But isn't this super cute, folks?
What time do you do? 4:30. Okay.
Let's see how my first chance to see myself all wet. Hello, everybody. In my belly. Do. All right, off we go. Off we go. We're gonna go. We started in a different spot than we normally do, so we're gonna head towards the Haunted Mansion. We're gonna show you some construction at the train station, at the French Market, which is turning into a Tiana restaurant. Then we'll go and look at the reveals at the Adventureland treehouse. I'm going to mention some changes coming up later next week in Tomorrowland. And then we're going to take you out of this park and over to California Adventure to see the reopening of a shop. Also some changes at San Francisco. And then depending on time, we may take you into downtown Disney to see some changes there, or we may have to wrap things up depending on how the time goes. So the big changes on the exterior of Splash will be the tree at the top there will be going away. They're shaving that tree down. It will look more like a mound than a hill with a tree. It was called Chickapin Hill before. And there'll be a water tower over here on the right-hand side of the mountain. And that'll say Tiana's Foods on it, and there's a crown on top of the water tower, but there's backstory on why that crown is there. It was placed by Tiana because after all, she did marry a prince, which makes her a princess. That's kind of a nod to the fact that she's a working woman, but also a princess. I have hope for the attraction. I do know some Imagineers working on it. They're quite unnerved by the fact that it's being poorly explained by some groups in the company that are focusing on all the wrong things. People want to know that their thrill rides are still thrill rides and not about labor law. Disney's newest attraction, all about labor relations, now splashing down at Disneyland. Last week we showed you my thoughts on putting all the queuing on the side of the Haunted Mansion and leaving the park open to guests to enjoy. And we were pleasantly surprised to arrive this week and find that there are no queue lines in Magnolia Park and it is open for guests to enjoy. Unfortunately, no benches yet inside the park. They're instead on the far side of the park over there. Take a look. But look at this pretty fountain that Duck is thinking about jumping in. Do it. Jump. 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 Do it. Go ahead. This is your fountain to enjoy. No, he's not going to do it. He's super cute. He's drinking the water out of the fountain. At least kids aren't peeing in it like the fountain over at Toontown. So these people are getting off the train, so it's kind of hard to see and we won't wait for it, but the building you see on the other side of the train, the old dear to my heart train station, suffered a fire many months ago. They still haven't even started work on that. I think they just didn't know what to do. So they're still holding on that for some time. We're looking at what was the French Market here in New Orleans Square, right next to the New Orleans Square train station. It's got scrims up right now. That is becoming Tiana's, what is that? Tiana's Palace. In the movie at the beginning, her father wrote place on the image, so it would be Tiana's Place. Then he, of course, passes away in the film, and then at the end, she's a princess, and when she opens her restaurant, it's not Tiana's Place, it's Tiana's Palace, because, of course, she's a princess. curious to see what the menu is going to look like, how much it's changed. Since it's a quick service establishment, and it will remain a quick service establishment, you will go into the inside just to pick up your food, and then you'll have to find a table outside, so we don't expect any seating indoors. Not much of a palace.
There's a question, if we have the Carousel of Progress here.
No, Carousel of Progress is so long gone from Disneyland. Carousel of Progress was gone by the time Walt Disney World opened, because that's actually where they moved it. So Carousel of Progress moves to Walt Disney World into Magic Kingdom, and then that building became America Sings. I spoke about that just a little bit this morning on National Public Radio, because those characters, when America Sings closed down, those were the characters that moved, many of them, to Splash Mountain. They were moved there by Tony Baxter, the famed Imagineer that everybody loves. Tony hated to see those beautiful animatronics go. They also were spending way more money on his new e-ticket attraction. I think it was 1989, than they'd ever spent before on an attraction. So they decided to get clever and save a little money and recycle some things. And it worked out just fine. Of course, those animatronics are quite old now, in bad shape. A lot of times when you go in there, you find the animatronics are not functioning. Similar types of problems that they have at Pirates of the Caribbean that we're looking at now. Very old attraction, ancient animatronics in there. While a lot of things have been updated, they still have old animatronics in there that of course have been updated over the years, but still have a lot of ancient parts and pieces.
Oh, that's the pirate
Queue isn't
ride.
too bad for Pirates right now. In fact, we're gonna look down and you'll see there's some empty space in that queue. There you go there. Not too bad. The center section on both sides is sort of open. Not horrible. And we're looking ahead. That is the Adventureland Treehouse. Formerly, when it first opened, the Swiss Family Robinson's treehouse, later became Tarzan's treehouse. Treehouse was in terrible condition, was going to be destroyed. And Tony Baxter again came to the rescue and said, maybe we can get Walt Disney Animation to pay for the renovation of the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse if they retheme it to their new movie, Tarzan. And that's exactly what happened. So it saved the treehouse. Flash forward to the last couple of years, treehouse again in trouble. Some of the steps and things were cracking when people were walking on them. Famously, the bridge even, somebody was walking across, jumping across, they broke a slat. That happened just before the pandemic. The ride reopened after the pandemic finally, and then shut down mysteriously, only to never reopen. And that's because they decided, you know, they had to do a big refurbishment. But where was that money going to come from for an attraction that few people ever went on? So they came up with a new idea. The new idea is to go back to the old idea, which is Swiss Family Robinson, only Swiss Family Robinson. Who knows the Swiss Family Robinson anymore? I do. But chances are your kids don't. So they came up with a new theme. It's inspired by the Swiss Family Robinson. It will look like the old Swiss Family Robinson's treehouse, but there'll be a whole new family living there. It's not a family from any movie you know. It's a new IP that they have created, new characters that are relatable to kids today, and it sort of ties in a little bit to Jungle Cruise, although I gotta tell you, it's not really so much about storytelling, it's more experiential. So each one of the characters in that treehouse has something they're interested in. One's a bird watcher or collects bugs, and another one's an artist, another plays a pieced together organ that they created. Father is an artist and a cook, and each one of those areas of the treehouse, you'll see something inspired by that.
Pirates. There's a question, do you think that there will ever be refurbed all new animatronics or advanced animatronics?
Absolute great question about whether or not Pirates will ever get refurbished to be a, you know, either a new attraction or completely get all new animatronics. We definitely think that will happen. The question is, how many decades before it does? Even attractions like the Jungle Cruise have gotten major reworkings. There's nothing about the Jungle Cruise that's original now from when it was brand new. Over the years, all new versions of all the animatronics in there. The whole ending sequence was changed during the pandemic when the ride finally reopened. They have removed all of the native scenes, replaced them with chimps gone wild, have taken over a boat and sunk it. They sunk half of a boat in the hippo pool now to make that more interesting. The hippos finally won. So those kinds of things will, of course, continue to happen. Disneyland is very old. It was built in 1955. Sensibilities were different than back then, so was technology. And Walt Disney wasn't of a mind that these things would last very long, so they didn't always build things to the highest quality. For example, almost all of Tomorrowland is temporary. So all of those buildings were originally intended to be temporary buildings. Walt didn't like the idea for Tomorrowland. It was just something that they had to do last minute. It was something they could build quickly. They had essentially a year to build Disneyland when it first opened. Imagine that. It's taken them 5 years to build Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but it took them only a year to build all of Disneyland. And they did so on the quick and on the cheap. And they're dealing with that to this very day. So there are things that are constantly going to have to be refurbished, replaced, updated. It's a challenge, particularly because people love Disneyland. So I love Disneyland. I gave up a real world job to do this full time. Why? Well, I love this place. And it hurts when I see things change. But I'm also learning as I get older that things cannot remain the same forever. Because if they do, kids will stop coming and eventually people will say horrible things about you. You mean that old broken down place with old racist rides? And by the time that happens, it's too late to change anything when it takes 5 years to build a new ride. So it's good that Disneyland is changing things, keeping it fresh. As much as it hurts an old man like me to see things that I loved and grew up with gone, it's also good for the future of the park and future generations. The key is it better than what was there before? Does it offer more? Better technology, better story, relatable characters? And it's okay. But when they change it just for change's sake and they don't necessarily make it better, or perhaps in some cases make it worse, that's when there's a problem. We're enjoying the beautiful pink trumpet flower trees. I'm gonna go into the hub here for a second. Paulo's asking a question about whether I've ever taken a VIP tour, and I gotta tell you, one of the perks of being me is that you get to do those kinds of things every once in a blue moon. So people are constantly inviting me to do special things, and just recently I did take a VIP guided tour. None other than Frank Sinatra's grandson was our tour guide. Can you imagine that? True story. Show you Walt here. Beautiful pink tree behind him. So just imagine I'm taking a picture because I took this picture earlier. Click. Mike's gonna take this picture right now because that is like the perfect picture. Mike's stepping behind me. There he is. Look, here's the picture, folks. It's happening. Magic is happening. You're watching magic in progress. Oh my gosh, look at that. We're gonna see the picture, and you're gonna see this picture on the Monday update. Our friend Daniel.
Hello.
Nathan bumped into a good friend of ours. Ranunculus blooming here below Walt. I think this is so brave of Disney to plant ranunculus because they're gorgeous, but their blooms don't last very long, and they quickly die, and they look horrible when they're dying, so they have to be pulled out pretty quickly, and they're not cheap. So when I see stuff like that, I appreciate it because I know how much money they spent. They don't always spend a lot of money on the gardens. Sometimes they plant marigolds. But over here is another expensive and very beautiful garden. It's digitalis growing there, or foxglove. Made heart medicine out of digitalis in the early days. Some dusty millers down here, that's the silver looking plant, and next to it we have some purple daisies. The purple and the silver, that's the Disney 100 color scheme, so this is a Disney 100 garden. Quite lovely. I'm not going to go all the way into Tomorrowland. I'm just taking you in far enough to talk about the fact that The Starview Station will be opening in the old Innovations building top floor next week. I believe it's the 19th it opens, but that's just for Disney Vacation Club members. So find yourself a Disney Vacation Club member and have them take you in. But don't worry, I'll be there when it opens. I'll take pictures and video and share as well. We already have photos and videos of Mice Chat. So you can go to the top of the site and in the search bar, type in DVC or Starview Station, and you'll see the photos and video that we already have. They're almost done with everything in there. It's just about ready to be seen by the public. Yes.
Have you ever taken the VIP?
I just answered that one. Nathan can't hear because he doesn't have earphones in today. So Nathan was asking me a question I already answered. You all already knew the answer to that. People are lining up on the streets. Why are they doing that? Is it a homeless encampment? No, they're getting ready for the 6:30 parade. And now that we're getting closer to summer, it stays bright later. So normally when we get to this point in the video, it's already, sun's coming down, but not anymore. The next 6 months or so, we're gonna have plenty of light on these videos. Do you like having a Friday live? We picked Friday at 5 because we figure people are getting off work. It's Friday. It's kind of your first look at what you might be able to do for the weekend. And even if you can't come to Disneyland yourself for the weekend, it's sort of the start of your weekend. That's why we picked Friday at 5. And we have so many people that watch these videos from all over the world, but from the rest of the country, and it's a little later there. So if we did any later than 5, it would be too late for many people. If we did earlier, then people in California are still at work. This was a compromise. We were just in the holiday shop earlier, enjoying the Children of the Corn, taking pictures of their scary faces. Should we show the picture? Should we show them in the window? Do you think they'll even be able to see that horrible Tinkerbell? We have to show you something we noticed in the window today. So I'm backtracking just a tiny bit. Show you here. So look for the Tinkerbell ornament. I'm gonna try and get you in as close as I can. Notice her face and her teeth. All right, priceless, right? Like, I want this one. Poor Tink. She has a terrible dentist. Of course, we're right here at the holiday shop. Another scary, scary child in the window here. Look at her doll. It looks like it's in pain. Children of yesteryear did not have fortunate toys. Here's a stick. Have fun. A stick and a ball on a string. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he was a sainted man. He was amazing, but he used to tell us the saddest stories. He had a huge family. There were 8 of them, and he was one of the youngest ones. And so all of his clothes and shoes had to be passed down, all of his toys. And he said anything could be a toy. His father would come home from work and bring something, you know, like an old bit of newspaper or something, and say, here, make a boat.
When was the last time that you went on the canoes?
It's been a long time since I've been on the canoes, but only because that river water is disgusting. And there was a little girl in front of me who was just using the paddle to flick water at the people behind her in the boat. And so I don't do the canoes anymore. That and I am lazy.
We went on a...
Go out into the street here instead of walking down the busy sidewalk.
Remember that time that we went kayaking and then I had to do all the work?
Yeah, I do. We went on a cruise and we were at some like mystical spot on the ocean. Maybe, and there were some like arches out in the ocean and we were in this kayak in the ocean, but I had thrown my back out, and to the point that I was so uncomfortable during the whole cruise I couldn't sleep, I had trouble walking, and my back was out. And we did this kayaking thing, just the two of us, in the middle of the ocean, which meant Nathan had to do all the paddling.
And then you wanted me to race people. And then
There were some friends of ours who were also kayaking nearby, and I'm like, you can't let them win. But I think that was because we had a guide or something, and she kept shouting that people were getting behind. We were way behind because I wasn't helping. It's terrible.
Let me just
That
say
was
you're
awful.
Not the
Bad
greatest cheerleader.
No.
You're not going fast enough.
Still broken. They have the Princess and ironically, with all the Princess and the Frog stuff coming to the park, right? Splash Mountain, Eudora's Chic Boutique, Tiana's Palace. They can't keep this window running. So if they can't keep that window running, how are they going to keep a whole ride running for her? Mickey there's iridescent, and the way the sun is hitting the back of his head, it looks like they've repainted him, but that's just the iridescence. Yeah, these windows are all still broken. It's a sad situation. Just imagine Neverland here. They'll never land because their window is broken. Elsa's frozen, and so is poor Abu and Aladdin. Aladdin, that face of shock and surprise. Your window isn't working. What do you have to say about it? He needs a whole new world. The waltz lamp is lit up there. We're headed out. We're headed over to DCA. And I am soaked. Everybody keeps looking at me like he pee his pants. We're going with it. Yes. I couldn't hold it anymore. So here's the magic behind the camera. Nathan chatting away. Mike went and got his bag and still managed to catch up. He had to put his camera equipment in a locker, so for us to be able to ride Splash Mountain meant he couldn't take thousands of dollars of camera equipment onto a wet ride. It's a good thing he didn't, because he got soaked. Of course, he didn't get soaked as the person in the front row, which of course was me. Tour garden over here. Right now the sign says guided tours. For a while there it said tour gardens. And when it was first built, it was called Guided Tour Gardens. So all of it works. We noticed in our Monday update that the Tarzan Treehouse poster is still up. Tarzan Treehouse poster still up in the entry tunnel, which is weird because they're building the Adventureland Treehouse and they have concept art for it. It'd be really cool for them to put that there with a big coming soon on it. That would be fun. And it literally costs them nothing to do. They just need to take the initiative to print that out in poster size and put it in the frame. Sometimes I feel like I should volunteer a couple hours a week just to do free stuff for them. I could do some weeding. I could fix some light bulbs, replace some light bulbs. There's plenty that I can do, even with my limited technical abilities.
There's a question from our friend Andrew asking, now that Sprinkles is closed, is there a possibility that Gideon's can come in?
So somebody was asking, now that Sprinkles is closed, is it possible that Gideon's might come? Now, not all of you may know what Gideon's is. We certainly do. There's a cookie shop in Disney Springs at Walt Disney World. That's what they call their downtown Disney. And this cookie shop is themed to adorable vampires who have a bake shop. Just imagine Harry Potter with a bake shop. That's what it feels like inside. The cookies are insanely good. They're huge. They're completely covered in chips and toppings, and we love them. We love them so much that one of our staff members takes trips at least once a month to go to Disney World for the day just to buy Gideon's cookies. Now, I have asked the owner of Gideon's if he would build a location in California, and he always says the same thing, that he has enough Gideon's locations and he'd like to do something new. So he doesn't say I'm not coming to California. What he says is I'm not building another Gideon's. So we'll see. They might be able to talk him into it, or he might have a different idea. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Wonderful. Are you having a good day at Disneyland?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
What's your name?
I'm Dusty.
Yeah, okay. Are you on YouTube?
Yes, we're on right now. You're on YouTube. Now, where are you going to go?
We're going to go to Disneyland.
You're going to Disneyland. Yay.
Runaway Railway.
Oh my gosh, well, I hope the line is short.
Yep.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. They wanted to say hello. Very cute. They're headed to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. They're going as far as you can go. They're in the Esplanade, and now they have to walk to the very, very back of Disneyland. Nathan's gonna get us into the park, so hope that we have a park reservation, then we're all set to go. Yeah. Here we go. We're almost in, folks.
No.
That's us. Just the two of us. Thank you. Oh my gosh. It's such a weird feeling to walk, and my shoes are squishing with every step. Like, it's like I have sponges for soles. It was just windy enough today, folks, that 2 of the iridescent banners on 5 and Dime have blown up onto the eaves. So we'll see there. The one in the middle, thankfully, is down, so it looks okay, unless you pay attention and look at the ones on either side, which have blown up into the gutters. Mike, do you know what kind of car this is over here? It's so cool. Just imagine Walt driving around in a car like that. We're here at Mortimer's. Oswald's gas. Think it's a Packard? It doesn't say. Oh, Packard. It is a Packard. It's a Packard. Look at there. It's Walt's hat, I think. And his riding gloves. His glasses case. I was going to say his cell phone. Walt's cell phone. I've never even looked in there before. He's got what in the back?
There's a bunch of suitcase.
Oh, his suitcase. You know why? Because Walt had a suitcase and a dream.
So there's an interesting question from David. What did you think of Luminaria nighttime shows, Steps in Time, and Blast at DCA 1.0?
Why would anyone?
Which one would you like to
Somebody said, what did you think of Luminaria, Steps in Time, and Blast that all used to play here at California Adventure, and which one do you want to come back? Well, I don't want to see any of them come back. I thought Blast was a blast, but it was a show from Broadway, not really a Disney show, and it was good for a short term, and I really had hoped that that was going to be the model for what they do in the future, that they would continue to have maybe little short versions of Broadway shows and things in that Broadway style theater. That's not what happened. Everybody loved Aladdin, but Aladdin went on for too long. Things shouldn't stay the same forever in a theme park, and shows need to change up, give people a reason to come back. Then they brought in Frozen. It was fine. Again, stayed a little too long, so we're glad that's gone. But they're bringing in a show that's really, literally, it was meant as a joke, and now it's going to become a show, but it is just a limited time run, and we do think they're saying limited because there's a real show that's going to be coming later, and we have some thoughts, but I think they're doing the Rogers the Musical temporarily while they're doing final touches on a full stage production of, I would hope, Hercules. So Disney's been working on Hercules for Broadway. It's done, and this would be a great place for them to kind of work out some kinks with the music and things. More pink trees up ahead. We don't know that's true on Hercules. We just have some speculation. Some people that have been cast for roles that they were not told what they are.
There, the one next to the guy in the gray shirt.
Did you already talk about Newsboys?
No, and let's talk about them because we're in the right spot. So earlier you heard me saying Walt had a suitcase and a dream, and that was sort of the premise of a show that took place on and around the red car trolley. Now it would stop right about here. The Newsboys would hop off of the red car trolley and they would start singing, and California, here we come, and then Suitcase and a Dream, and all those songs, which were of the period when Walt was landing right here in California with his suitcase and his mouse and his dream. Now, technically, Mickey Mouse had not been born yet. Would be born not too long thereafter in the garage of a little house on Lyric Avenue in Los Feliz. Little house that is still there, and I drive by all the time. Right after that house, he moved into one up on Woking Way, which looks like a palace. And I have some good news. Pay attention to the Mice Chat newsletter. If you do not get the Mice Chat newsletter, go to the front page of micechat.com right now and put your email in where it says newsletter, because tomorrow I will probably be announcing some private tours of Walt Disney's 1930s mansion in the Hollywood Hills, and I myself will be giving the tours. So,
want to look at the trash art?
yeah, well, Nathan, how can I turn down an offer like that? Nathan says, do we want to look at the trash art? Why would we not want to look at trash art? How could anyone say no to that? That sounds like first date material. Hey, good looking. You want to see the trash art? How are we doing on time, Nathan? So we'll see some trash art. We'll look at the construction of the new store in Avengers Campus. We'll go look at the new store that just opened in Carsland. That's probably where we'll wrap up. So for sure, if you've got any great questions, scintillating things you need to know, please let us know in the comments below. So I'd like to see that Newsboy show return. I think it was the perfect fit for DCA. Not everyone was a huge fan of the way they played the music. The songs themselves were fine, but they added this kind of heavy beat to it that was a little much for some people. That kind of grew on me over the years. Off the page, been a while since I've been in there. It's a good place to get collectibles. I stopped collecting collectibles because I don't have any place to put them, but every once in a blue moon, something comes out that I just have to own. It's funny how when I was younger, I'd almost be apoplectic if a new pin came out or something and I wasn't able to get it and it sold out. I had so much FOMO. And I would buy all this stuff, and now my garage is just filled with things that I don't need. Anyhow, as you get older, things change, the priorities change, let's just say it that way. Even about visiting the parks for me, you know, I have to do things that are meaningful to me. It turned what used to be queue for Muppet Vision over here into seating for award wieners. Now you enter next to award wieners to go into Mickey's Filler Magic. So here's the trash art. So this is stage 17, that's Monsters Inc. Here's the little shop, Hollywood studio shop. But you have to look all the way, blink and you'll miss it. But these cases that are hidden way back here in the corner, this is the trash art. Calamora. I don't know why I can never remember their name. I always call them the guacamoles. And then you scan that little QR code there and you can vote for your favorite piece. So the little guacamoles, here's Walt and Mickey, again, all made out of trash. Walt and Mickey. This is really clever. So it's an animator's desk. All right. Everything's made out of something discarded. So old used pencils turned into a desk. They're drawing Mickey and the characters. Very clever. This is Mickey and Minnie out of soda cans. Look at their eyes. Those are soda tabs. Very clever Disney 100. There's even a Tinkerbell. Look at that. Old Christmas lights and things. Very, very clever. They made an Oswald out of an old frying pan. Mickey made out of old CDs or DVDs. Who still has CDs at home? Any of you have CDs or DVDs? Here's what you can do with them. And then they've taken an old table here and they've made a mural on it of the castle. Now the way the light reflects on these plastic boxes makes it next to impossible to see, but very expertly done. Artistic. Somebody made a jacket and shoes, a very Captain EO-esque kind of a thing here. A pachinko machine made out of wine corks, balls, and then they've wood burnt some characters into the bottom. And then finally Hank, very clever piece right here. And there's Hank. And of course Nemo and Marlin right here. And Dory. And there's our trash art for this year. In the past, they did it in Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. The pieces were much smaller. They were kind of out in public view. These are much more substantial pieces, larger pieces, and they're all protected by these boxes. So I'm very curious if they kind of created a standard for the pieces this year, but I'm so impressed by what was done here, all done by Disney cast members. And what did they get for winning? Fewer lashes. So if they show up to work late, they're whipped for a shorter period of time. That's in my head what I'm thinking they win. All right, Nathan, shall we take them real quick, show them the construction? We're gonna walk through a little bit of the Food and Wine Festival, which is still going on. Nathan, you've been concerned about Food and Wine Festival ending. Have you eaten everything that you wanted to eat?
And more.
And more. And when does it end?
The 25th, week from Tuesday.
A week from this coming Tuesday. The Food and Wine Festival will be no more for this year. However, out in Florida, their festivals just keep going and going and going. So at the beginning of the year, they did their Festival of the Arts, affectionately known as Arts. And that was replaced by Flower and Garden Festival, which is going on now into July. And then it immediately becomes the Food and Wine Festival through most of the rest of the year until holidays, when it becomes Festival of Holidays. So they really have a festival year-round, and I have to wonder, could they pull something like that off at California Adventure? Because some of our festivals are quite small, such as the Lunar New Year Festival, which really just takes up a small portion of the park. Festival of Holidays is fairly substantial, Flower and Food and Wine is fairly substantial, but I think they could potentially do an arts festival back in Paradise Pier area. But a delicious chicken sandwich over here. Yes.
You've seen the Cirque du Soleil there, Drawn to Life.
I did. We got to see the Cirque du Soleil show in Florida, Drawn to Life, before the pandemic. So it was just about ready to open, and we got to view a couple of the scenes of that. And it was wonderful. And then recently we went back and saw the whole thing, or I did. Loved it. It's great because it's tied into Disney. Very Cirque, you know, not everybody loves Cirque, but it's like the only thing they offer in Vegas anymore, so somebody likes it. Opening June 30th, Rogers the Musical, ladies and germs. Rogers the Musical sort of tells the story of Captain America. Big production numbers. It's meant to be not so much comedic, but sort of tongue-in-cheek look at Broadway-style musical. It's very short, only 30 minutes long, one-act show, no intermission. And since it says right on the sign there, limited engagement, if people don't like it, it will go away very quickly. But if people love it, they'll probably stick around until the next show is ready to debut. And the reason they keep saying limited engagement, they don't want people to be disappointed when it closes for the permanent show that they would like to produce. They removed most of the tables back there for Pim's Test Kitchen. That now contains its own tables. They've made those patios a little larger. To hide my embarrassment that I'm walking around with wet pants. Zethos says he misses the Star Trek experience in Vegas. Me too. The old Las Vegas Hilton was wonderfully done. Great queue. Incredible multi-tiered attraction, not unlike the idea for Rise of the Resistance, where the queue itself is sort of an experience. You're walking through like a museum, Starfleet Museum, and then you're at a pre-show that's part of this museum, and then you are teleported, transported onto the deck of a starship, the Enterprise. And there's an experience that happens in there. There's live actors. And then they put you onto an elevator. And when you get off the elevator, you're in a different place. And then they have you get in an actual motion simulator to get back down to Earth, where you crash down onto Las Vegas Boulevard. It was really incredible. Multiple experiences all in one. Sadly not there anymore. Nothing can last forever. Tim Test Kitchen, they're doing a little Earth Day thing here. I'll poke into the exit over here so you can see, and then we'll go over and look at the construction of the new shop. So they've added, as though it's not confusing enough, so there's a regular trash can, there's a recycled trash can, and then there's one for food scraps. So we'll take a look here. 3 cans. The new one is the green one. That's for food. So recyclable cans and plastic on the right. The regular trash on the left. And in the center, food only. And Nathan thought this was so funny that they added the word desserts. So fruits meets dessert and food. And what Nathan said is, who would throw away a dessert? I was just telling everybody how funny you thought it was they put dessert on the food trash. Who would throw away dessert? Who would do that? Who are these people throwing away dessert? So you'll see a construction wall directly ahead that's gray. That's the Avengers HQ building that we're looking at with the tower behind it. Now the Guardians of the Galaxy mission breakout. Avengers HQ is just a facade, folks. There's no there. But they are going to build a little shop here. We do not know if it's going to be inside this little corner portion, and there's a little bit of a roofed-in area directly behind there, but most of the rest of that building, there is nothing. Or if they're just building a kiosk here, or if maybe they're moving these red shop thingamajiggers and putting them over here. We don't know. They haven't really said anything. But it is an easy walk from where we are to Cars Land, where we see the next thing that we need to see.
So here's a question asking which Guardians attraction would you like better, here or at Walt Disney World?
Somebody's asking about the Guardians attractions, which one I like best. There are 2. We have the old Tower of Terror overlay, and in Florida they have a brand new purpose-built roller coaster with an incredible queue that is not unlike an early Epcot pavilion kind of idea. Aliens from another planet have set up a pavilion to teach humans more about their world. And then once you get to the ride, there's very impressive pre-show that the more you see it, the more boring it gets, but still, it's good the first time you see it. And then you get on this incredible roller coaster that spins. It doesn't really spin, it's directional, like a Haunted Mansion vehicle that points you in a certain direction. But there's great use of video and sound, different songs, depending on, how lucky you get. And it's just wonderful. I could ride it all day long. I did ride it until I thought I was going to pass out. It's not a good idea on my part, but I couldn't help myself. It was just so much fun. Luigi's on our left over here, so I do prefer the version in Florida. However, it has the biggest show building I have ever seen. It is so huge, so massive, that when you're at the back of World Showcase, you clearly see that building. You can't miss it. It is massive. that would be a problem at the Disneyland Resort. They could maybe get away with it over here, you know, hiding it, putting Cars Land Mountains around one side to kind of hide it, tuck it behind. Maybe tear a tower down, put it there. But there is room for one big attraction. I just don't think it's room enough for that sized attraction. They have to do something smaller scale, smaller queue. Little Guido here. And over here is Radiator Springs Curios. Reopened today. 3 shops reopened today. The Disney Home Store in downtown Disney, Disney Wonderground Store in downtown Disney, and now Radiator Springs Curios has reopened, all of them on the same day. The reason that the two in downtown Disney were closed is because they had to do some construction to lower the ceiling in the front to accommodate something that is happening above. We're fairly certain it means more seating for the new Centro Mexican restaurant that will be replacing Catal. But that's done and now reopened. But this was more a staffing issue. So the reason this didn't reopen is they didn't have the people to run it. And we won't go in because I'll lose you for sure, but t-shirts on this side, pins and magic bands on this side, lots of little details and maps and things in the store because it's a roadside tourist trap kind of a store like you would find in Orlando. You're driving down the I-9 there and you see all of those really ridiculous signs for touristy type stuff, bit of a different generation. All right, I don't want to get hit by a car.
Thank you so much, everybody. Nice thing. These new tires on the pavement.
Do they ever do soft openings of Hyperion shows?
There's a question about whether or not they ever do soft openings of Hyperion shows. Anything is possible. So it really depends on the production, and if they need to workshop it and show it to people, they're more likely to do that out at Imagineering or in their performance building here at either Disneyland or California Adventure and have Disney employees kind of shop the show. But you never know. Anything is possible, and they open things early all the time at Disneyland. But you can't count on it. Just when you think they're going to do something early, they won't. Now, Toontown, they did open a half day early, so they did our press event on a Saturday. It wasn't supposed to open to the public until Sunday, but later in the afternoon, in fact, just as we were leaving our press event, half an hour later, they opened it to the general public. So you never know. And sometimes they open things months early, as they did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That was originally not supposed to open until the rest of the land was done, but they decided since the ride was done, they would just go ahead and close and open it early, and they did. Out in Florida, the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, the amazing attraction we were just talking about, that opened months and months early. So did Tron. Tron opened months before the official opening date. We're going to look at one last thing. We're going to see it here on our left. We're entering a very busy parade route for the Food and Wine Festival. But it is the San Francisco that we're going to look at. Lots of changes coming very soon, folks. So much less work to do there than people think. And they announced it was going to be open for summer. That's a lot of people saying, yeah, maybe by the end of summer. No, I think it'll be open before summer. Already completed most of the exterior restoration out here off the parade route. Let's sneak in here. So, any Asian characters that you see are for San Francisco. Essentially, all of these buildings were repainted, but they were repainted in the same colors they were before. They're painted to look old and faded, which they do, but the signage that's on them is all new. So the bait and tackle there, the Wharfside Travel Agency sign, that's new. I really like this. They have a worm on a hook there. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then over here, a signage for Lucky Fortune Cookery, so we know that name is staying. Cucina Cucamonga, and then the new beer stand, the Cerveceria. All of those are going to still be in the Wharf area, which will now be called San Francisco. So we're going to try to brave the crowds here for 1 second. Yeah. Paint the Night coming back is a very high likelihood. Whether it happens this year or not, I mean, I suspect it's very likely to happen. So, you know, I think we can count on it coming soon. I've spoken to people that work here at the park that really want it to make it happen, and these are the kind of people that could definitely advocate for it, and they want it to happen. So it's really about budget and staffing. They can find the people to do it. New signage here that says San Francisco Square, Canning Company, and then over there, soon to be the Golden Gate, San Francisco Bridge. It's been painted the right color, and the supports are in for the bridge. It just hasn't been dropped in, but when it is, it's going to look done on this side. These scaffolds will come down very soon, and that bridge will be done very soon, and then it's just a little bit of work on the inside. They're putting together a lean-to for the Baymax meet and greet, and the big walls there, they're basically taking the old fortune cookie window and turning it into a new beer window, and there's your cerveceria, and done. So a little bit of extra signage, some new menu items at these restaurants. That's it. That's all they're doing. There's not a lot to this. Folks, I really appreciate you joining us. Nathan, thank you for braving Splash Mountain for us.
Thank you all for your generosity as well. Really
for the horse brutality. We love doing this, so we're just joking around a little bit about getting wet, although we are both still soaked. Look, Nathan's pants are still soaked. We need giant human-sized dryers to come back. Remember they had those for a little while? I need one right now. I would take you all into the giant human-sized dryer with me. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with you again real soon, I promise. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.